evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Aruna Wadkar, founder and director of HETS, Harvest Education Transformation Solutions. Good evening to all our respected educators on board and our dear viewers present with us today, waiting for the impactful and productive program on NEP, that is National Education Policy. Not to make all of you all wait, let me introduce you all to our panelists. We have Mrs. Kusum Kanwar, who is the Managing Director, Kangaroo Kids International, Kandivali, who is a proud mother, a teacher, and an educator with a lineage of the Indian Armed Services. Former Principal, Bilbong High International School, Deputy President Women Entrepreneur Enterprise Mumbai, CIM SME Nishtha, Council Member Confederation of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Cluster Director Pathshala, APER, National Core Committee Member for Association of Primary Education and Research, ECA Ambassador for Principals, Global Youth Parliament Joint Secretary India, CEO Added Skills, Skill Training and Development in School Stakeholder. Her zest for serving the country revolves around mentoring and coaching the future generation of the nation. Welcome on board, Ms. We have our next panelist, Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra. Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra is an educational innovator, an author with expertise in Six Sigma in education, academic audits, neuro-linguistic programming, and total quality management in education. A former principal at the Indian Public School, New Delhi, Dr. Dheeraj brings over 2 decades of teaching and training experience. He has authored over 50 books and is a certified trainer for quality circles in education and QCI standards for school accreditation and Six Sigma in education. Developed over 150 free educational mobile apps for the Google Play Store exclusively for teachers, students, and parents. This work has been recognized by the Limca Book of Records and India Book of Records. He is also a premium Udemy instructor with over 300 online published courses being circulated in over 180 plus countries. Awards and recognitions awarded to Dr. Dheeraj, President of India's National Teacher Award in the year 2006, Best Science Teacher Award by the Ministry of Science and Technology, State of UP, Education World Best Teacher Award, Bold Learner Teacher Award by Air India. Welcome on board, Dr. Dheeraj.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, ma'am. God bless you.
We have our guest panelist here, Mr. N.M. Bhatia, Honours in Physics and Mathematics, Postgraduate in Commerce and MBA, who is an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad. He worked as founder, principal and director of Chiranjeev Bharati School, Gurgaon, principal director, Swiss Cottage School and DPS. Worked as expansion director audits for Presidium Group and Director for Education of Noble High Schools. Institutions for Suryansh Group and Academics for DPSG Group of Schools. At present, Member Advisory Board associated with Prudence Group of Schools, Somila International School Bhilwara, Rotary Public School and Director Academics of Giri Goenka Public School, Gurgaon. Honored with Acharya Chanakya Award, Dr. Rajendra Prasad Award for outstanding contribution in the field of education. Nominated by Haryana State for National Teacher Award and honored by Delhi State with Outstanding Teacher Award and Sculptures Bhavishya Ke Shilpakar Award 2020. Conducted various training programs for the teachers in India and abroad. worked for CBSE Delhi for a number of confidential assignments, such as question paper setters, moderator on expert committee to review question papers, marking schemes, inspection of schools for affiliation, worked on managing committee and governing body of number of educational institutions, worked for NCERT and CBSE on subject committee for subject commerce. Welcome on board, Mr. Narendra Bhatia.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have another panelist, Mr. Aditya Bisaria, Managing Director, Ganges School, Founder Director, Ganges Fanshala, Manager, BBHB Inter College, Manager, KBH, KKH Junior Girls High School, a dedicated educationist who loves to work cohesively with the children, parents, and teachers to create a child-friendly, scientific, and happy environment both at home and at school, aiming to achieve holistic development of children. Have been panelist and speaker at multiple platforms on domestic and international forums on education, early education, and technology. Awarded with the title of Mr. Motivation 2018, Acharya Chanakya Shikshavid Samman envisions a society where people are free to practice profession of their choice with the objective of helping each other and together take care of Mother Nature, where underperformance is not a curse and equal opportunity is available to all. Early childhood educationist, noted speaker, motivator, trainer, and counselor of children and parents, believes in inclusive growth of students. We welcome you on board, Mr. Aditya.
Namaskar. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We have Dr. Seema Negi, who is, a well-known personality, in fact, yes, but then she really, her recognition is commendable. She lives by the principles of empathy and gratitude. Dr. Negi is a global goodwill ambassador, an edu leader, and the principal of Sanjeevani World School, Mumbai, India. She is the coordinator of SAARC Nations Regional Committee for Global Youth. She is the Parliament Secretary General from India for Global Talk Education, a proud Rotarian and social ambassador for Indian Development Foundation. She has won the prestigious crown of Education Queen 2018, Miss Role Model 2018, in an exclusive pageant only for educationists. Dr. Negi is an advisor for Sports Academy Association India, the territory head for Association for Primary Education and Research, and is associated with many social and educational organizations worldwide. Recipient of many national and international awards, her passion and dedication lies in contributing her time and efforts for betterment of society and education. She is an eminent speaker, moderator, panelist, various conferences, events, summits at global platforms. Her work is recognized again by the World Book of Records UK on personal and professional category. She stands by the maxim that is, I am because we are. For her, her team and her students are the first. So I personally welcome all the lovely panelists on board, and we will look forward for an impactful evening today. Over to you, Dr. Seema Negi.
Thank you, Dr. Aruna. Thank you for the lovely introduction. And as we can see, we have the most powerful panel here, the panel who is going to decode and decipher the new education policy, because that is something all of us need to understand before the implementation begins. So to start with, the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, addressed the conclave on school education in 21st century under the NEP 2020 on 11th of September. Now, speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister said that National education policy is going to give a new direction to 21st century India, and we are becoming a part of a movement that is laying the foundation for building the future of our country. The new education policy, the new national education policy, is a means to fulfilling the new aspiration, new opportunities of a new India. But the actual work begins now. The actual work is the proper implementation. Now, to implement it, we need to really understand it. So, I would like to go to my first panelist, Dr. Mrs. Kusum Kanwar. So, Mrs. Kusum Kanwar, I would like to know from you. Now, it has been said that language is the medium of education. Language is not all of education. Some people forget this difference, and therefore, whatever language a child can learn easily, we do not teach the child based on that. So, when we talk about early years, where the mind is very tender, where the child is very young, if suppose we teach the child in the language that the child understands, I feel the conceptual clarity will be more, and that is what the new education policy speaks about. So, what are your thoughts? How are we going to incorporate multilingualism in our daily school basis? And do you think our country is ready for multilingualism?
Thank you for this question. I know it is on everyone's mind. So, to start with, this is a part one of school education that covers block five of the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 of the policy, right? So, I would like to call this the Magnificent Five, and I'll speak on the block structure of this Magnificent Five later at the end, along with the pedagogical structure during the question and answer. Now, presenting my focus on addressing your question on multilingualism at the foundational stage. So, for the first time, the policy has recognized multilingualism not from the language perspective, but from the developmental perspective. Now, the policy recommends an unrestricted use of home language, mother tongue in early childhood learning, so that is more inclusive and pedagogically shifting focus, that's to discovery, play, activity based learning in the curriculum and pedagogy of early childhood education, which is, according to me, very essential. So there is a parallel drawn between multilingualism and the power of language. So well understood that young children learn and grasp concepts more quickly in their home language or in their mother tongue, which usually is the same language as the mother tongue or that which is spoken locally, right, in the local communities. So, as research clearly shows that children pick up languages exceptionally fast between the ages 2 and 8, and research proves that multilingualism boosts problem solving, your critical thinking, listening skills, in addition to improving your memory, your concentration, and the ability to multitask. Now, children who are proficient in two or more languages also show signs of enhanced creativity and cognitive flexibility. Now, to support multilingualism, all efforts will be made in preparing high quality bilingual textbooks and teaching. Now, all languages will be taught in enjoyable, interactive way. Reading, writing in mother tongue in the early years, and with skills developed for reading and writing in other languages, so that they're preparing them for the formative years, grade three onwards. So all efforts will need to ensure that any gap that exists between the language spoken by the child and the medium of teaching are bridged and connected. So why is it a silver lining? As we are aware of developed countries around the world that have sufficiently established being well educated in one's language, in their culture, in the traditions, is not detrimental or disadvantageous, but indeed a huge benefit to educational, social, and technological advance. And also the three language formula that will continue to be implemented while keeping in mind, the constitutional provisions, aspirations of the people, the regions, and the union, and the need to promote multilingualism as well as promote national unity has never been, more clearly said, and that's what we all agree to, or at least that's my opinion on multilingualism. Thank you, Dr. Sima.
So Very well said, Mrs. Kanwar. Definitely, multilingualism therefore will ensure that early years learners have better conceptual clarity and better understanding. And definitely, we are making this foundational stage very, very strong with that. So that brings me to Mr. Aditya Bisaria. Mr. Bisaria, as per NEP, the preparatory stage where grades 3 to 5 students will be exposed to different subject competencies, the learning will shift gear from playway method to the formal method. Textbook will be introduced. What new changes will be implemented? Will it be different from the current module that we are following right now?
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. And yes, it will be different. Difference in the sense the process remains the same, but the purpose of the implementation of process will change. So till now, the process which we were adopting was that the children had to read to learn the new things and then have to give the exam and attain marks to move on to the next level. Now, the process remains the same, but the outcomes becomes different. How it becomes different is now the teachers have to take up activities to observe is there the child able to inquire about the topic? Is he really eager to learn the topic? What are his observational skills? Can he explore more points out of that? After exploring the information, can he use that and transfer that process information into decision taking skills? Can he express those decisions? Can those expressed decisions can further be communicated and expressed out in oral and written languages? So if we analyze holistically, earlier till now it was just the marks. Now they are not the marks, they are the subcategories. So these categories are very, very essential and will definitely help the child in the long run to make up a meaningful life and career. The child will never ever think, okay, if I cannot attain these many marks, so my life is useful. If I, sorry, it's useless, and I am of no use to the society. So now the shift will not be just on the marks, but upon the qualities which the child is possessing. So this new policy is really the need of the time, the way the world is changing and advancing. We are very soon we are going to have robots taking up the monotonous routine jobs. AI will take over the lots of things. So the children are to be equipped with important decision taking skills so that they are able to utilize these resources for their own betterment and for the betterment of the society at large instead of becoming slave to them or getting lost out in the whole world. So I see this policy is really the need of the time. Thank you.
Very well put up, Mr. Aditya. Yes, it is the need of the time, but understanding it well and implementing is what we all have to do it together because it will be a combined responsibility. This brings me to our next panelist, Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra. Dr. Dheeraj, I would like to know from you. I think a lot of people are talking about what will happen to the current education system, how this change will be embraced. Now, in the national education policy, a lot of stress and importance is given on replacing the old 10 plus 2 with the system of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, which is very well known as Delta model. Now, the playful education of preschool, which was limited to certain big cities, will reach to the remote villages also once this policy is implemented everywhere. I would like to know from you, how do you think this restructuring of school curriculum is going to help us? And what about across the boards? What about the state boards? How are we going to implement this model 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4?
Well, thank you very much for this question. And obviously, it's a little, puzzling with the essence of getting to know what presently we have and what we are looking forward. So, obviously, as you said, structuring and restructuring the school curriculum is on cards. The NEP certainly recommends that the existing structure of the school education must be restructured to make it more relevant to the needs of the students at different stages of their development in particular. So the current 10 plus 2 structure of school education will be redesigned into the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. The design composes of, as rightly said by my co-panelists, 5 years of fundamental stage, that is from the ages 3 to 8. Then we have 3 years of preparatory stage from 8 to 11 years, or classes 3 to 5. And then we have 3 years of middle stage, comprising of age group from 11 to 14, or classes 6 to 8, and 4 years of secondary stage, which comes to 14 to 18, or classes 9 to 12. So this is the structure which incorporates the stages right from the foundational stage, which will be for 5 years. Then we have the preparatory stage, which will be for 3 years. Then we have the middle stage, as I said, will be for 3 years, and the secondary stage will be for 4 years. So that would consist for classes 9 to 12 students, and in this stage, they can choose any set of subjects from the available structure. So this is something good. We can even have, commerce, arts with science subjects as a good combination being available. So this will open up that idea of, innovative learning among the students. The focus would be on greater critical thinking and the flexibility. So that's the prized part over here. And along with that, there is a special mention for the vocational education. The committee observed that the less than 5% of the workforce in the age group of 19 to 24 actually received the vocational education in India during 2012 to 2017 as per the data. So now this is the fragrance now we need to come up with, and they have introduced backless days for 10 days. Probably that is the time when the schools will be practicing this type of delivery of knowledge and the experience. And ultimately, the national education policy aims to ensure that at least 50% of the learners in school and that of the higher education should be exposed to the vocational education by 2025. So that is what is on the view with the approach that they are trying to moderate and explore. And this, I believe, will be a great notion on ground of, with focus on vocational education in the schools, the level at that platform, every child to learn at least one vocation and exposed to several more will be a great idea for inception. And this will certainly go and move towards, facing the challenges of the new age, as ultimately the National Education Policy 2020 aims at making India a global knowledge superpower, And as you rightly said, our Prime Minister delivered about this very notion that the new academic session, of course, will come up with that challenge. And of course, unfortunate part that we have gone through this with the corona times, but I'm very sure all the schools are, at their launching pad respectively to implement this policy in the best of the possible ways. The launch comes with the education sector getting 6% of the GDP, which was earlier 1.7%. So that is again, icing on the cake. So let's look forward, and we together can make the difference. Over to you.
So, thank you, Herotras. What we can say that during this pandemic time or unprecedented times, a new education to change ray of hope, to launch new and ray of hope for a new India that all of us envision together. So this brings me to my next panelist, Mr. Narendra Bhatia. So Mr. Bhatia, national education policy addresses a major problem in our country. Instead of learning-driven education, marks and mark sheet-driven education dominates. Children also learn when they are playing, talking to their family, or going outside with you. But often people do not ask the children what they have learned, but they would ask about the marks. How much did you score in the test? Can a test or a mark sheet be a parameter for children's learning and mental development? Today, the truth is that the mark sheet has become a mental pressure sheet and the family prestige sheet. Everybody wants to show this is what my child has got, A star, A plus, and nobody is understanding the kind of stress the children are going through. Now, removing stress from education is one of the main objective of the national education policy. The examination should be such that it does not put pressure, unnecessary pressure on the student. How are schools going to conduct stress-free and holistic assessment at different stage? I would like you, with your expertise, to comment on that.
Thank you so much. The new education policy, when we talk about education policy, the first thing which is connected with policy is assessment and evaluation. Now, in this context, part of the education ministry, Parak has been created. The meaning of Parak is something similar to evaluation, is similar to something assessment. It's performance assessment, review, analysis of knowledge, and holistic development. The basic objective of this Parak is to standardize the process of evaluation. I'll just share a few things which are why this organization is going to come up as part of new education policy. I remember in 1952, somebody who topped the board examination, at that time it was 11 years of schooling. The board examination used to be in 11th standard, and what used to come in the examination was 9th standard, 10th standard, and 11th standard. The child who topped in 1952, he got 68% marks in the board examination, and he got distinction only in 3 subjects. I repeat, the topper of the board got 68% marks in the board examination with distinction only in 3 subjects. When I appeared for the board examination, the system was same. Again, 9th standard, 10th standard, 11th standard. The topper of the board scored 83% marks in the board examination, and he got distinction in 4 subjects. He couldn't get distinction in the 5th subject, that was English language. Now, from that time onwards, we have seen, ever since the state boards have come up, state boards have started giving good marks in the examination, the percentages have been going up. And when it comes to admission, when the admission is based on the percentage, those who come from state boards, they get admissions into the colleges much easily. There was a time a lot of schools from South, they started leaving CBSE system because CBSE was giving lesser percentage in comparison to the state boards. Then there was some kind of understanding between CBSE and the schools which were there in South that children appearing for CBSE examination from South are going to get identical scores what they'll be scoring when it comes to state board examination. But this mark rat race is going on. You must have seen this year the schools were advertising how many children got more than 90% marks. There was a time school used to say 40% of our students they were in first division. Now this year, I think most of the schools they were advertising how many children got more than 90% score. And anyway, everyone knows somebody got 600 out of 600. I think where are we heading? I think there is absolutely no end. Even after getting 98% marks in the board examination, when the cutoff percentage is around 98%, getting admission to a college is likely to be difficult. In our time, somebody getting around 60 to 65% marks in board examination generally used to qualify IIT examination also. Should we take it that at that time the quality of education or the quality of learning was not up to the mark, which is not the case. It's only the marks are increasing and is making, you get 90% marks, you're not able to go to a proper college. From 33% to 85%, you don't get admission to a regular college. That means you need to pursue your further education by correspondence or by other means. Now, by keeping this thing in mind, this Parak has been created. The objective of Parak is going to be standardized evaluation. standardized evaluation not only in one city, but it's going to be across the country. The assessment is going to be prioritized. It's going to be on the priority list. And once we start getting standardized evaluation, then India's evaluation is going to be globally competitive, acceptable in the field of education. Right now, whatever you score in any examination in India is not considered for your admission or for your jobs overseas. But once this thing will start happening, I think the credibility is going to be there for what you score in our Indian system. Now, standards will be set up, and there is going to be a body which is going to look after the assessment, which is going to look after the evaluation. The input will come from state boards and how the standards will be formulated. If you go back to our existing system of examination, everything is based on memory. It's on memorization based. It's rote learning, and there is very little scope even in case of subjects where I think critical thinking is required. So the scores are based on what you have memorized, what you have learned, rather than understanding or rather than having knowledge about those things. Now, with this new education policy coming in, I think the emphasis is obviously going to be 21st century skills. And when I'm talking about 21st century skills, there is going to be genuine learning, there is going to be learning of concepts, and all these things will make a lot of difference. Higher order skills, when we talk about analysis, we talk about critical thinking, we talk about conceptual clarity, and there are going to be three examinations during the school. First is going to be in standard 3, the second one is going to be in standard 5, and the third one is going to be in standard 8 before children reach 9th standard. After that is going to be the board examination pattern. The evaluation is going to be on the semester basis. So children will be evaluated on the semester basis. Third, fifth, and eighth are going to be standardized examination. Other than these classes, there will not be any formal examination. Of course, there will be continuous evaluation of the children, which will take place throughout the year or on the semester basis. So the objective of Parak is it's a standard setting body. It's going to keep a check on the education system. States are going to provide the details for the standardization, assessments, and the data will be provided to these bodies, and it's going to be a quality benchmark. There will be two examinations when it comes to classes wherever examinations are going to be there. One is going to be main examination, and the second one is going to be in case you want to improve, you're looking for improvement, then you can go in for the improvement. When it comes to admission to the colleges, there is going to be national testing agency. Besides whatever you score in your board examination, your aptitude will be tested by this agency for admission to colleges. What you score in board examination plus what is your aptitude score, that will be considered when it comes to your admission to colleges. The syllabus is going to be reduced and it's going to be holistic evaluation, your behavior of the children, their mental ability, and their external examination, both subjective and objective, will be considered when it comes to promoting any child to the next class. So, what has happened here is marks have been replaced by holistic evaluation, degrees has been replaced by life, and the board exams are going to be in 8 regional languages. So this is about the evaluation which is going to be there in according to the new education policy 2020. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Bhatia. You have actually explained us very well about the assessment system, assessment pattern, as well as the role of Parak in providing the guidelines to the schools so that everybody caters to our children on the similar platform and the country can come under one particular assessment body, that is Parak. Thank you so much. Moving ahead, Dr. Mehrotra, right now, Mr. Bhatia spoke We speak about assessment, and assessments are going to be more holistic. Assessment will be not just to evaluate whether the child has understood or not, but also to judge the skills, the aptitude. Now, I would like to know from you, under the National Education Policy, a lot of emphasis is laid on holistic report card instead of just mark sheet. So, I want to understand, how do we prepare a detailed mark sheet which is unique, which can cater to your aptitude, which can cater to your attitude, your talent, your skills, your efficiency, your competency. Is it possible to judge everything? The progress card will be very holistic, as we all know. It will be 360-degree multi-dimensional report card that reflects each and everything about the child, the uniqueness about the learner, and which will cater to the cognitive, affective, and psychometric domain. How do you think schools will do that? That's a big question. Everybody would like to know about it.
Okay, right. Well said. And thank you, Bhatia sir, for this wonderful explanation. And yes, of course, we have a new initiative here which implements a 360-degree holistic, that's the word being used, holistic report card for students. And here the students will get a 360-degree holistic evaluation, which will not only inform about the marks obtained, but it will be an add-on to their other skills as well. And the important points will certainly look forward to the preface, which we have been, consciously, unconsciously, we need to just look at it and deliver as an oral attribute. But now, according to the new education policy, the progress card of all the students for school-based assessment, which is communicated by schools to parents, will be completely redesigned. The progress card, a holistic 360-degree multi-dimensional, will replace the student's current report card. The policy says that the progress card that reflects in great detail the progress as well as the uniqueness of each learner in the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains would be issued to students under the new policy. Following the new policy, the student's card will also include the self assessment, the peer assessment, and the progress of the child in the project based and the inquiry based learning through the experiential learning format, formative analysis, the subjective analysis, the quizzes, the role plays, the group work, the portfolios, and other things which are going to be analyzed. And of course, we are going to be utilizing technology in a big way here as well, along with the teacher assessment. So the holistic progress card will form an important link between the home and the school and will be accompanied, by the parent-teacher meetings in order to actively involve the participation of the child in the activities, the parents' coordination, collaboration with the school, and also will actively involve the parents in their children's holistic education and the development. Like it will also add on and would provide teachers and parents with valuable information, add-ons of information on how to support each student in and out of the classroom. The AI based, as I said, the software could be developed, or there are already vendors approaching the schools for the analysis of their learning outcome on learning data and interactive questionnaires for parents, students, and teachers in order to provide students with valuable information on their strengths, the area of interest. That is something great. The hobbies. It is not only the academic skill, as Sir pointed out, Bhatia Sahab rightly pointed out, that the analysis has to be 360 degrees. So we are going to be evaluating that stuff. And the focus areas would be, to have their optimal career choices in particular that will lead to that priority, and teachers of course will be given more autonomy in choosing the aspects of the pedagogy with a focus on social emotional learning, which is a critical aspect of any child's holistic development. So the freedom to the teachers will help out to analyze the child, and of course this will be only possible when we aim to deliver a continuous professional development, that is also known as the CPD, for each teacher to be expected to participate in these training programs for at least 50 hours of continuous professional development has been defined and designed and operated. So they will be given this opportunity to learn for at least 50 hours, for every year for their own professional development driven by their own interests. So this way, the teachers will also be able to demonstrate actively and deliver their management and the leadership skills to take their academic responsibility in a better way. So I believe that this 360 framework will not only help out in the analysis of the teaching, the learners, but also the teaching process in particular, which will be motivating for the students, for the parents. It will energize them, and also it will touch upon the academic, teaching, research, and also as an add-on, a clean handshake with the parents to come up for this proper analysis. So that is my say there.
So very, very well put up, Dr. Mehrotra, because now a school will not be just a place where a child comes and gives exams and goes back. Now each stakeholder has equal responsibility, and together we will work for the holistic development of the child. You also spoke about teacher training, which is definitely a very, very important aspect, because well qualified, trained, and empowered teacher definitely can deliver in the better manner. So it brings me to our first panelist, Mrs. Kusum Kanwar, again, who is very passionate about training teachers so that they can deliver to the young minds. So, Mrs. Kanwar, as we know, teachers are the pioneer to lead this journey of new education policy. I would like to know how teachers will now go through a cycle of learning new thing. It's like learn, unlearn, relearn. They have to go through the cycle, and especially when we talk about early years, which is the foundation where the base needs to be very, very strong. How do we enhance the competency of ECC teachers? That I would like to know from you.
Right. Thank you, Seema. Thank you for this. So, competency and proficiency for ECC teachers will see a huge shift, for implementing the NEP 2020. Now, the foundational stage that it consists of, implementing 5 years of flexible, multi-level, play and activity-based learning, the curriculum and pedagogy of ECC. Now, here our competent ECC teachers will not only be responsible for the cognitive development of the magnificent five, as I say, talk about the block, that first block of five, but also building the character and creating holistic and well-rounded individuals that who are equipped with the key 21st century skills, as Dr. Nirota also mentioned. Now, firstly, broad guidelines may, however, not serve the purpose if the implementation and execution clarity is missing. Thus, building competency rubrics are required, parameters for ECC teachers, and all this will play a significant role. Now, it's not about having a teacher, but it's about having a competent teacher to execute the policy framework, and that's going to play a vital role. Now, these challenges will include dealing with how I spoke about the multilingualism will also be adopted while preparing teachers, right? Competency of teachers with regard to not only discovery and activity based learning. So, all this needs a reorganization. So, however, learning of language too is very critical. So, regardless of which subject the teacher is teaching, the child learns pronunciation, the body language, vocabulary, what and how you speak, habits, expressions, etc. The teacher herself needs to be proficient, competent in that language uses and diction, and that's what we need to look at a teacher's competency in that area. Now, secondly, NEP talks of professional development of teachers, which DS sir also spoke about. Now, effective PD, professional development that enables educators to develop the knowledge and skills they need to address students' learning challenges. So that's important. PD is not effective unless it causes teachers to improve their instructions or causes the administrators, the people like us to become better school leaders. Now, enhancing competency overall, this training is central and is fundamental here. Now, it's a tall order, as there's still no definition of early childhood teacher training program. There's a BEd that is universally recognized in India, but nothing standardized for early years qualifications. There's no homogeneous ECC training in the country. Now, to tackle competencies in ECC teachers, in order to lay a solid groundwork for the next +3 block, right? That's the preparatory, stage, including reading, your writing, your speaking, physical education, your art, your languages, science, and math. So the teacher competency will need to be upgraded. So two things here. So right institutes teaching teachers and right institutes teaching languages too. That's for efficacy and teacher competence. So that's my take on it.
So very well put up, Mrs. Kanwar, and it actually shows the kind of passion you have for teachers training. Now, coming to the youth of our country, Aditya Visaria sir, I would like to know from you, as our Prime Minister has stated, energetic youth are the engines of development of our country. Their development should begin right from the early age. And middle school is the right time to introduce new elements which are beyond academics. So a lot of emphasis is laid on vocational skills. If you have to share your thoughts on this, why do we need vocational skills in middle school? And what values these skills are going to add up in shaping the holistic learner? Your views, Mr. Visaria.
Thank you so much for this question. It's the question which I have always dreamt to share my views with everyone. Uh, I will share out few. I will give it the answer through few stories so that everyone can correlate with it, and it's not a lecture kind of a thing. Now, the first one which I will take up is the story which Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam has mentioned in his book Wings of Fire. So, his passion for aeronautical engineering started the day his teacher took him to show how a bird flies actually to the ground. So that's how. Now, that education was not inside the four walls of a classroom. That passion was seed for the inquiry based learning was created by his teacher. So that is the biggest reason that we should have these vocational trainings is so that the teachers can create this passion of inquiring, passion of learning, passion of gathering information into the child. So these vocational sessions will help the children right from the early years. Next, as the children get equipped in the foundation years with their skills of everything, now in their middle years, they have to give it a shape and a destination so that they can shape up their own life. Now, again, a small analysis of the story of Akbar Birbal, where Akbar Pasha Akbar asks, Birbal, whose beard will you, fire is there on the beard of yours and mine, whose you will you stop first, put off first. Yours or mine? He said, Majesty, first mine, then yours. Because if I'm in pain, how can I help you? So, this vocational trainings will help the children in empowering them and their fellow learners and then to the whole society. Coming on to the next part, how these vocational trainings will help. Another story from the ancient India, where there's about a feast organized for the Devtas and Asuras, and long sticks, wooden sticks were attached to their arms, and then they were served foods to eat. Both the hands were tied with wooden sticks. Now you cannot fold the hands and fold your arms and eat it. Now the focus of Asuras were on eating the food, whereas the focus of Devtas was on helping each other. So at the end, we learned that the Devtas were able to feed themselves, each other, whereas Asuras were left hungry. So what if we analyze this? What we learn is teamwork. If you focus on helping others, you can help yourself. So these kinds of real life situations are to be given to the children in which they are brainstorming their own thought process, how to accept the challenge, how to move on to the next level, how to clear the hurdle and learn in that process. So this process of vocational training is not for getting the tasks done. It is about inculcating these qualities. And next, if we look out what these vocational trainings will help us in fully utilizing the resources. Our ancestors had very limited resources, yet they were happy and led a very beautiful life, and they have sown the seeds of which we are eating the fruits. Now, if we say, let me explain it with the example which Dr. Again APJ Abdul Kalam has referred in his book. When the space science was started, it had really limited resources. Our professors had taken up all the things in a very difficult manner and created in very limited resources and done laid the foundation of the achievements which we are taking up forward. So it is not about us only, it is about what we are leaving ahead for our next generation and making the next generation sensitive for what they are having. So again, these kinds of trainings, activities in which they are trained out to utilize their resources to the fullest will help out. Further, again, every child has certain quality. Another story which tells us what we have to do as an educator for the children under this vocational training. Story from our ancient India where Guru Dronacharya asked all the children to aim at the bird's eye which is kept on the tree, and only Arjun he asked to throw the arrow because he was only able to see the eye, rest all were visualizing something else. So that was not happening. Okay, keep on practicing, keep on targeting. Uh, he understood who has got the capacity, and then he developed the children accordingly. And if we see the similar example in the current world, we have got Master Blaster Sachin Tendulkar, who has who has revealed that he wanted to be a fast bowler, but his teacher, Guru Sir Achrekar, just made him realize that he's made to be the best batsman. And another example of our best and the most successful captain, Dhoni. He was playing in the football field doing goalkeeping, and the teacher pegged him that he is fit to be the best cricketer. And from there, his journey of cricket started, and his leadership skills were identified, and he came out to be the most successful person. So, the purpose of vocational training activities is to make the children develop life skills like teamwork, resilience, to be sensitive, to utilize the resources available to the fullest, to the betterment of the society, to be independent in their life skills, professional earnings, which they can utilize and start at the earliest. So, vocational training will help in that, all these things. Yes, the role and responsibility of educators is leaps and bounds. And yes, it is not possible without the assessment, right training, and right guidance by the educators. So, as discussed about, as my co-panelists have shared their views on the assessment and the role of teachers and the training, yes, if we take up all those things together and utilize this vocational training, and then we are making the child ready for the academics after he has gone through all those processes, yes, his life will be meaningful, and he will be able to not only do something for himself but for the entire people of nation.
Thank you, Aditya. That was very well put up and very relevant examples given. So it also adds to one more concept that storytelling is never going to go out of fashion because that is something that binds each of us together. This brings me to Mr. Bhatia. Mr. Bhatia, the previous education policy had tied up options for our students. For example, a student who opted for science could not study arts or commerce. For those with arts and commerce, it was assumed that they have opted for history, geography, accounts because they are poor in sciences. But in reality, can all the work be done with the knowledge of only one field? In reality, all the subjects are related to each other. Every learning is interrelated. student opt for one subject, but later they feel they could do better in some other field. But with the present system, those boundaries are so tightly fitting that we have science, we have commerce, we have humanities. But this new education policy has come up as a ray of hope, where we can see liberalization of education happening, where you have plethora of subjects that a child could choose from. But this brings a big question in the education sector and all the educators' mind. That is, with too many choices of subject, what about the deeper knowledge and understanding? What content will be taught? Will the present syllabus be divided into semesters or various branches of a subject in each? This could not. This could result in too many choices to student, but with little knowledge. So, what is your take on that, sir? And if you can elaborate more on this.
You're very right. In classes 11 and 12, now there will be nothing like science stream, commerce stream, or humanities stream. There will be a set of subjects out of which you can choose five subjects which you want to pursue. It's not that every subject will be available for you, which you can choose for your schooling or for your higher education also. Definitely, there is going to be a problem for the schools because you need to have so many permutation and combination when it comes to making timetable, and it's going to add to the cost of schools also. So there is going to be a problem for the schools when it comes to providing all those subjects which are going to be there in a particular group. And since there won't be anything like science stream, commerce stream, humanities stream, the students can choose subjects of their choice within the subjects available in that particular group. It's going to add to the cost of schools, and I think it's going to be little difficult for them to make provision for all those things in their timetable also. So I think the schools have to see. I think the schools with higher strength, good strengths, I'm sure can manage. But schools where in say class 11 there are about 30 or 35 students, and in case they have to make provision for say 20 PGTs, I think it's going to be really expensive affair. So big schools can manage, smaller schools definitely will find a problem because one single teacher over a period of 1 year is going to cost hell of a lot to the school. Yeah.
True, sir. I completely agree with you because this is the one big question which is actually haunting all of the educationists. If suppose you have 30 students and 30 students have different choices of subjects, so how do we manage with faculty? So definitely you have really put it rightly. So coming to you, Dheeraj Mehrotra, sir, I mean, you spoke about the Delta system and the system that is there, which is a new change as per the education policy. Now, I would like you to speak a little more about will the 10 plus 2 system of education now will become redundant? What will happen to the states board where 11th and 12th are considered as junior college? Also, there will be no board examination in grade 10 or the grade 10 exam board examination will still continue the way it was. Again, as as Mr. Bhatia sir said that with so many subjects coming in, will be a lot of confusion or the subject competencies will be catered based on what the professional world requires? So you need to unmute yourself.
You rightly said about the special mention of the board exams, but the 10s and 12s will very well be there. You're not going to go away with it in any case. And the children will be asked not a very tough question, so probably they are going to be made easier. So that is what is the policy says, that we are not just going to be testing them on academics, but in other format as well. And the priority which comes here is that more of the skills will be integrated, like that of experiential learning as the part of a technique of teaching, will be the new system of pedagogy in the classroom. As an add on for the 10s and 12s, as rightly said by Mr. Bhatia, that there will be semester system and there will be two exams, so you have a better system to negotiate if you want to improve yourself. So that will be again given an attribute. The spectrum lies to the conduct, as what Aditya mentioned rightly, that the vocational system will give us a new spectrum. And as an add on, there is a special privilege for the internship. This has been mentioned as a special provision of late, which has really given a new dimension to the learning spectrum altogether. So the special mention here talks about the 10 plus 2 board structure, not as a 10 plus 2 board, but as an independent approach with the new structure of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, as we have rightly discussed earlier. And of course, from 12th onwards, graduation in any degree will be of 4 years, and that spectrum will certainly give us a target. From 8 to 11, students can choose subjects. All graduation course will have major and minor, so that is again, somewhat an added reflection on ground. Then, as a spectrum of new age learning, the school's exams will be semester wise, twice a year. The syllabus will be reduced to core knowledge of any subject only, and more focus on the students' practical and application knowledge will be given as per the policy. So that's an add-on. And then also we have a spectrum of any student, with the vested interest that they used to escape out college degrees, and also, there is an add-on itself when I'm moving to a little bit of higher academics. For any graduation course, if the student completes 1 year, he'll get a basic certificate. If he completes 2 years, he gets a diploma, and he completes the full course, he gets a degree. So that is a special mention here, and it again attributes to the new format of learning. And the best part, which has been integrated, is about the experiential learning, and the readily available resources in the schools will be utilized for this platform. As I was just sharing just yesterday in one of the webinars about the students' role plays, games, songs, dance, and the spectrum in the classroom, and also in the school playground, how they can make use of the experiential learning with reflection of games, exhibition, poster competition, even school garden. Now we need to go with the extra inch of taking them out with observation of plants, species, soil, flowers, germination, and they get to know about even a visit to the principal room, teaches them role play and communication skills. Moving around to the mom's kitchen at home, they get to know about spices, the seeds, the food processing, and that is what is the reflection which is going to be the new initiative by the schools now for integration of essential subjects and the skills. So not only for the particular board schools, but also with the special mention, they will be attributed towards the equitable and the inclusive education taking in view. And also special mention for the local languages, the sign language, which is going to be a part of an inclusive education system for all the schools, and then coding, from class 6th onwards, which is going to bring out that creativity in them, the logical thinking, the creativity. So that is a special mention there. So I believe that this way the approach is going to be better, innovative, and creative, and with the best of the implementation in progress, we are going to create a new world, a better world, and a knowledgeable society in a big way.
Definitely, the new age learning will be engaging. It will be like engage student in different kind of activities, engage, explore, experience, express, excel, and that is how we are going to move ahead. So since you spoke about higher education, I want to again come back to Mrs. Kusum Kanwar. I would like to know this particular policy envisions a complete overall change and re-energizing the entire higher education system. So, do you agree with this change, or do you think that whatever was continuing till today was better? What are your viewpoint? How do you see a fit match between school getting over and the child getting ready for the higher education?
I think the very fact that this policy is is so forward looking, so progressive. So I could interpret it as internationalization of education, right? So there's integration of vocational and professional education. There is setting up of renewed quality, higher education institutes. intensive, there's teaching intensive universities, and autonomous degree granting colleges. Now, standalone HEIS and professional education institutions will evolve into multidisciplinary institutions as well. I'm very happy about the special education zones for disadvantaged regions as well. So National Institute for Pali, Persian, Prakrit, National Education Technology Forum, NETF, of course, MHRD named as Ministry of Education. So these are something which is very progressive. Now, Modeling University, MERU, that is Model Multidisciplinary Education Research University. I think it's a very good break for all of us. Holistic and multidisciplinary education, flexibility of subjects, as Dheeraj sir also said, multiple entry and exit, undergraduate programs of 3 or 4 years, PG programs of 1 or 2 years, integrated 5 years, bachelor's or master's. Now, also, it talks about credit transfer and academic bank of credits and 50% gross enrollment ratio by 2035. So I think this is something which is very visionary. Uh, of course, discontinuing that MPhil may discourage research work to some degree. I mean, probably I can relate that to myself because, I was pursuing MPhil and probably now I have to do PhD. So the five E's of the policy, that your education, your employment, your entrepreneurship, employability, economy, everything has been addressed. So also other highlights being graded autonomy, academic, administrative, and financial. How the institutions are going to work, phasing out the affiliation system in 15 years. Then I particularly like this national mission on mentoring, a single regulatory body for the higher education industry. Online self-disclosure based transparent system for approvals now replacing the physical inspections. Isn't that great? Mentioning a private philanthropic partnership, fee fixation also, and public investment, which I think Dr. Dheeraj spoke about. Public investment in education sector to reach 6% of the GDP, so that we achieve that kind of greatness in education in the Indian education system. So these are my takeaways for higher education. Thank you.
So we see a lot of vision, we see a lot of foresight, and what we are now trying to do is we are again making our country the knowledge nation, which if we reflect back to the towards the time of Nalanda or Takshila, we were always the knowledge country. And with the successful implementation of new education policy, the way it is, I think we'll be able to achieve that. This brings me to one of my last question, and I want Aditya as well as Mr. Bhatia to answer this question. How does this NEP differs from previous policies? Both of your views, one by one. Mr. Aditya first, followed by Mr. Narendra. Mr. Bisani, please unmute yourself.
Yes, please. If I say in just few sum up in few words, what Swami Vivekanand has commented on education, his quote is: "We want education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet." And if we analyze this new education policy, it has the provision of everything which he has envisioned long time back. And the current policy which we are following is just focused upon the marks, and it's all about who is getting the marks. As Bhatia sir said earlier, the generations earlier were not getting those many marks, but they were very, very resourceful and they have contributed a lot to where we stand together as a nation. And yes, this will again put off the rates for the marks and it will create a nation, as Dheeraj sir said, with a more knowledgeable society, more academically influential, and practical society which will lead the world ahead in tough times.
Thank you, Mr. Visaria. Mr. Bhatia, your views, please.
Thank you. So this new education policy is excellent policy because it covers all the things which are required according to the Indian conditions. The first thing which has been recognized is the importance of pre-primary education, which had always taken a backseat. It used to be in neighborhood schools only. Now it's going to be part of the mainstream schools. The right to education earlier, which was from 5 to 13 years, from 5 years to 13 years was right to education. This has been extended to from 3 years to 18 years. That means they expect all the children from the age 3 to 18 to come back to the school. The medium of instruction at the primary level is mother tongue. I think that is something very good. The learning of the child is best when something is taught in the mother tongue or in the local language. So this is a very welcome move. So far, government has been spending around 1.6% of GDP on education, which was pretty low. And for quite some time, it has been demanded to be raised, and the present government has raised it to 6%. If government genuinely spends 6% on education, I think it's going to make a lot of difference as far as quality of education is concerned. The implementation of this policy is going to take place in phases. The implementation of the policy will start from 2023-24. So from the academic year 2023-24, the implementation of the policy is going to begin. We say that in case any country is to progress, is to prosper, improve the quality of education, this is, I think, what present government aims to. There are few sectors which, of course, it's their job to oppose, and they have opposed it also. Again, in this policy, the higher level skills of 21st century will be imparted to the children. When we talk about higher skills, it's critical thinking, creativity, communication, and curiosity. I think these aspects will be taken care of. That means from rote learning to memorization. I think it's going to be knowledge, understanding, and application of the subjects. Marks and degrees will be replaced by learning and life. So I think it's a pretty welcome move. There is going to be a single regulator for the higher education. I think that will move things pretty faster. Foreign universities are going to have their campuses in India, so children need not go to other countries because now the foreign education has become very expensive. Now, in case those campuses are going to be in India, I think they can take their education, world-class education, by spending in the Indian currency and in India. MPhil is no more required when it comes to doing PhD. That means after post-graduation, straight away you can enroll for your PhD. There is again emphasis on employability. Those who are not able to pursue their higher education after completing their 12th standard, they'll gain certain skills, and those skills will make them employable so that they can start earning for their families. By 2030, by 2035, we expect 50% of college, those who are eligible students who should go to college should be enrolled in the college, 50% of them. I repeat, by 2035, 50% of eligible college-going students should be enrolled. That's 50% of it. And by 2030, government expects 100% children to go to schools from the age 3 to 18 years. Of course, there are a number of agencies they are working on. NCERT has already started working on national curriculum framework. That will take 1 year. Again, it's going to take another 1 year to design curriculum for the teachers' education. It's going to take approximately 2 years to formalize the books, which are going to be in 3 languages, will be passed on to the states. The national curriculum framework has to be approved by the education ministers of all the states, which of course is part of the system. So the policy will be implemented in phases, and the policy will be financially and fully operational by 2040. It won't be implemented in one go, it's going to be implemented in phases. So in that, I can say that it's an excellent policy. Teachers training is going to be a very important aspect. With the kind of teachers we have right now, I think implementing this policy is going to be very difficult. So teachers training, recruiting teachers, and giving them good salaries and good remuneration, I think that will make a lot of difference when it comes to quality of education. We require good teachers. They need to be paid good salaries. They need to be trained, and they need to be given the right skills so that they can handle experiential learning or the kind of expectations which are there as far as new education policy is concerned. Of course, there are plenty of other things, but I thought let me just uh, cover the important aspects of the new education policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatia. That is very well summarized, and you have touched upon each and every aspect of new education policy. But from a layman's perspective, if we see, yes, it's a visionary document which needs complete implementation and everybody's support. Here, now when we talk about education, education will not just be mark centric, it will become more of life centric, and that is how we have to make the education system change. Each one of us will have to go through the transformation phase, and we will have to adapt the culture of constant change, because when we change, then only the world will change for us. So I will conclude stating again our beloved Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi. As per him, in the year 2022, when 75 years of independence are completed, he envisions that every student of India should be able to read, and that needs collective effort, that needs collective responsibility, and this responsibility needs cooperation and collaboration from all the teachers, administrators, voluntary organizations, parents in this national mission to make it a success. So we together today, all the panelists along with our host, request each one of you to be a part of this change so that India will again become the country which India was always known as, a knowledge country, a knowledge nation. Now I am handing over the screen to Dr. Aruna. Dr. Aruna, thank you for giving us this opportunity to express our views and really discuss about new education policy. Though new education policy is a vast ocean, and I think we have just picked a few of the pearls. There can be deliberations and deliberations about the same, but yes, learning, we all are in the journey of learning. We are learning, we are sharing, and we are sharing, and we are learning. So with immense learning, I am handing over the screen to you now. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Dr.
Dr.
Aruna.
Seema. Thank you, Dr. Seema. It was really indeed a wonderful thoughts put across towards NEP and the clarity of the segments, which is like 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, and also the vocational courses, life skill courses. It was really wonderful. I'm sure that the viewers would be really, had taken away a lot of things on the understanding of NEP. As we all discussed, and NEP says that we want our education system and equitable access to each and everybody, whether it is any social or any economic background, regardless of that. But then to achieve this, actions has to be taken, and not by one, but everybody together as educators, as principals, as school managements, everybody have to take it for on the priority basis. However, let me also tell you that this change and these actions, if we are taking, we can definitely, create a new system in the amalgamation of the conventional and the new framework policy that is being implied now, and the aspirational goals of the 21st century can definitely be achieved. So I should, be thankful to each and every panelist here, and my sincere gratitude to each one for accepting my invite and spare their valuable time on a weekend and made this session a successful session. I would like to also convey my thanks to Dr. Seema Negi to have been so supportive to help me to conduct this webinar too. Thank you so much, and my heartfelt gratitude to all the viewers out there for your precious time, and hope you all had a good takeaway from this session. We'll come back with some more productive objects in future. Thank you so much. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.